Okay, well, my name is Heather McNaughton, and oh my, I was a producer, I was casting, I was hair and makeup.
Michael S. Fields, writer, director of the Roommate films.
Can you say it in a complete sentence, please?
Uh,
Oh my goodness, I kind of just did, all the scheduling. Not only did I do the auditions, I did all the scheduling of every scene that we were going to do.
Hi, my name is Jeremy Francois, and I played the role of Tyler in the Roommate series.
Locations, I did costuming, all that kind of stuff. I mean, it was only me and Mike and Mike's girlfriend at the time and Jason, and then, the actors and stuff like that. So it was a very small crew. It was our very first time doing anything like that. And so we really didn't know what we were doing. And I kind of just kept us on schedule, kept us organized, stuff like that. But it was a great time doing it. Like it was totally different. And once you start, you get the bug. So,
I knew Heather for a while. I met Heather off of some guy named Doug that she was dating. And then I met Jay after someone that I was dating. And then Jay discovered he was a really good artist. So he was a good asset. And plus he knew how to build things and all that stuff. So he was a good asset for the film. And then Heather, she just has the good organization skills for the film. So we made a great team.
I was seeing my ex-wife, and I was going to college up at Ferris State University, and that's sort of like northern Michigan, sort of. Now, I met her at a bar because I went to do karaoke every Thursday, because this was a Thursday when I met her. So it just so happens to be on that Thursday, she came up for vacation with her friend Jennifer. So this random meeting, I start seeing her, we start getting serious, and I was tired of driving 3 hours one way because she lived in Westland, Michigan. So I eventually moved down to Westland because, like I said, it was getting serious, and we ended up getting married. So I met Mike through Heather.
well, I met Mike through my boyfriend at the time. And Mike and I just totally hit it off right from day one because we were both writers. We were both into film, all the kinds of movies, the breakdown of movies, how everything kind of worked because we studied, a DVD at the time was you got all the extras behind the scenes, that kind of stuff. Sometimes you would get the casting auditions and stuff like that, and we were obsessed.
I'd met Jeremy off of Heather. I was Heather's boyfriend at the time, and he was living up north or something like that. And he had to come down here, and then somehow we roped him into being a lead actor for these films. Poor guy. And then, but yeah, he lived with Heather, and then we all saw Scream 3. We were going to make a horror film, but then we decided to make the Roommate films with Jeremy in the lead, basically playing me, but also himself at the same time. So.
What gave you the inspiration for the roommates?
My roommate experience. It was a really bad roommate experience, and these films were just therapy for me, I guess. I don't know. I just wanted to make films that were therapy and warn everybody about the horrors of roommates, you know? And it's made an interesting premise to have bad roommates for a subject for your film. It's just entertaining.
So one day we were sitting around at night, and we just started talking about what if we did our own film? Like, what would that be like? How would we start it? And he was like, I'm gonna write a script. And I said, okay. And I'll start looking into some things on the internet of just basic how to start, how to do a casting call, that kind of stuff.
Originally, when I was to get casting, I was going to cast people from my work. But Heather's like, no, because they weren't showing up. The first time we were going to shoot something, I asked people from my work, and then we all went there, and then they didn't show up. So Heather's like, we're just going to have to audition these people, and I'm going to make them show up. So we just held an audition. I don't know how she did it. She just put like a thing out for MySpace, I think it is, because MySpace was popular at the time. And then all these people just started showing up. It's weird. Every time we had these auditions, we usually have it like in an apartment building, like the leasing office, or I think it is, or whatever. We go in there, and it's always a packed crowd. Like all these people. I don't know how Heather did it, but there were so many people that would come and audition for it and really want the role. And I remember in the roommates, there was people that really wanted it really bad, you know, and I was kind of cool that they really wanted to be a part of the film. So yeah, and it was just mostly auditions. I never had to deal with that. Heather did that, but she was able to bring a lot of people to audition for it.
When I was younger, well, both of us, there used to be a magazine, a local magazine, and it was called Real Detroit Weekly. And they would post events, stuff like that. They would post casting calls. And I said, this is how we need to advertise our casting call. It wasn't Craigslist. The internet was brand new. There really wasn't web pages as much as message boards. So that's what we did. We took out an ad in there. We ran it for a week. We received, there was email obviously, but we received resumes. We received headshots. And at the time, Jason lived in a very nice apartment complex, and they had an amazing common room type thing. So we decided we would hold auditions there.
The character name for my girlfriend in the movie was called Cheryl, and she was based on this chick back in the army that she just slept with everyone in the barracks, just got passed around to everybody. So I thought, if we need a girlfriend that messed around on me, that would be the best name to go with the character, because that was the sluttiest woman I ever met in my life.
I didn't even know that story. I just thought you chose it out of the blue. So I've heard the story first time now.
We had our first audition ever. We had probably 50 people, and they came in, they read, and we had kind of an idea of what we were looking for looks-wise. Because it was all based on Mike's horrible experience with his roommates, and then all the wild friends and all that kind of stuff that we kind of had, we needed people that kind of resembled the actual people. So that's what we were looking for. And then there was just so many great local actors, and everybody was kind of new. And we kind of found spots for everybody. And that's kind of how we got into it. He banged out this script, and I kind of went through it and thought, okay, what location would look good for this? What could we set up with the right people and that kind of thing? And that's what we did. It was really just a guerrilla style film. And after we kind of started, there was some other groups that kind of started too. And it was a really local underground film industry. It really was.
Now the roommate script is written, and we're getting ready to go for everything. One night we ended up going to see Scream 3, so that tells you how long ago this was. And after we got out, we started talking more about movies and stuff. I was telling him, after high school, I went into the Army. So on our downtime, a lot of times, the place that you stay in is called the barracks. And we would just watch these movies and drink beer all day when we weren't doing like practice war stuff. So I'm watching these movies and I'm thinking, I could probably do this one day. So just that sort of sparked the idea of acting. And then one time I was at this place called NTC, the National Training Center, and we were doing some practice war stuff. This is in Fort Irwin, California. And there were some guys talking, this place where you have like lunch and dinner. It was like an outside area. And they were talking about, they were looking for extras for this movie called Courage Under Fire with Denzel Washington and Meg Ryan. And they said you get like $1,500 if you were selected. So I thought, man, that would be cool if I could get in that. I didn't get in that, but that sort of sparked the acting want to do it also. So after we would see the Scream 3, we started talking about movies, and then we were coming up with a plan to make a movie of our own.
We were supposed to get a good camera from this rental place, but I wasn't able to get to it in time. So we ended up using my camera that I got from a pawn shop. And I just remember Heather being so mad about that, but it ended up working out. I thought for sure at the premiere of this particular camera was going to be all pixelated and it's going to look like crap, but it turned out pretty well.
When we first started getting all these ideas together, we both worked at this terrible job called Richland Maintenance, where you go around and you clean the floors at like Walgreens and Rite Aid drugstores. So I was working the overnight shift. So we go to this Rite Aid and we thought, okay, it's around midnight. There should be nobody in there, so we should be able to film me doing the job. So we filmed the stuff, me lowering the equipment out because it was heavy. So that's where the initial back injury in the roommates started, from this terrible job loading this heavy equipment in and out of a van each day. So we got that, and then we were getting ready to film in the store, and the manager was just being an asshole and said, we can't do that, you can't be on Rite Aid property, all this stuff. So that was like our first roadblock in the filming process, I would say, before the roommates script came together and everything got going.
I need you to talk about the dates that you filmed this shit, like the years, really
Oh
quick.
God, I don't remember that.
2007, 7 is when you shot Lose Anonymous.
I think it was what, 2002 when we shot The Roommates. 2002, 2003 was The Roommates.
I remember the premiere was like July or January 14th or something, 2024.
2020, you mean 2004 for
Yeah.
Roommates? It was 2004?
Yeah, 2004, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think it was 2004 for the premiere for The Roommates. I know it was in January, so that sounds about right, yeah. The Roommates Holiday Special, that was like, what, 2006 when we had a premiere, I think? I remember it was July 17th. It was on my sister's birthday, Angie. And then we had a premiere at the Imagine Theater for that one. And then the year after that, I think, was when we had a premiere for Lucy's Anonymous at the Royal Oak Theater.
How and where did you write the script?
I wrote at home. I just had a computer. But our computer was really, like, horrible back then. And the computer we used to film to edit with had no memory in it. And we lost the film, like, several times. Because my computer that I used for writing, we also used for editing. It just didn't work out that way. It was originally supposed to be a horror film. But for some reason, we decided not to make a horror film and make these roommate films, which were kind of like horror films in its own right. So
Mike wanted me to play the lead character of Tyler, and I said okay, because like I said, I had always thought about acting after all the stuff from the Army and everything. So we get it going, and
this was really hard for me because I hate hurting people.
Well, it's not like I want to, but I'm getting tired of getting walked all over like a doormat.
I would say it's my worst acting. Like,
So where are you going?
That's none of your business.
What?
It's none of your business.
Okay, whatever.
my acting got better just naturally because I never took an acting class or anything. So I'm sort of learning on the job. But it still wasn't like bad enough where Mike said, we need to find someone else. I'm just going with the flow and we're getting these scenes done. eventually the whole film was made. So even though it was the first film, things went pretty smooth for the whole thing of it.
It didn't really take that long to shoot. I think it was like it took us 4 months to shoot it. It really wasn't a bad shoot. I just remembered that I just got like I had back problems. I just had back problems, and I was on medication, so I was really tired like all the time and in pain, and I was miserable during the experience making that movie because of my health. I was but my back pain. 'Cause I threw it out at work when I worked at Richland Maintenance, and I had to work a lot to pay for the film. But one of the memories that I've had was we bought a big sub for the cast, and it was a big like family size sub. It was a Italian sub. I wanted chicken teriyaki, but they ended up giving it Italian. And then nobody ate it. Everyone else was eating their own food. So it was just more for us, I guess. We had this big cast, and most of them wouldn't even eat it. But whatever, it was just more for us, I guess. But I just thought that was pretty funny that nobody would want to eat that sub.
And Mike, he was so funny because keeping him organized was difficult. Because he would just all of a sudden get these ideas that would be so grandiose, and it was like, Mikey, we cannot pull that off.
Customers are nothing more than wallets. What sucks was that I had to clean the bathrooms that day. I get to tell everyone I scrubbed toilets for my career.
But like, I think probably the biggest memory for the roommates was the premiere. How much of a disaster that would have been, because we went to the theater and well, nobody was there. So I was like, oh man, because we had it scheduled to have people there, and nobody was there for us to set it up. So we went back to the apartments. I was nervous. I remember the guy I was playing JR was helping me get dressed because we were trying to get dressed for the premiere. And I was like so nervous. My hands were shaking and all that. Well, I got a call midway through getting halfway dressed that someone was at the theater. So me and Jay rushed to the theater. And then when we got there, there was no sound. We couldn't get the sound up on the projector. We got a projector from the rental place, which I didn't know how to pay for. So then we rushed to the theater, no sound on it, and then I had to leave the theater knowing that there was no sound in there. And then we got back to the apartments, the limo drivers needed their money, but I didn't have any money. But luckily we had a rich guy on the set, so he paid for it. Poor guy, but he was a friend of mine, so that was cool. And then we had a 5-minute limo ride to the theater after paying for it. But when we got to the theater, there was like a whole crowd of people on the side and an announcer that was announcing everybody getting. His name was Rock, I remember, and he was announcing everybody who was getting out of the limos. And we were like start. And it was a sold out theater, and the audience loved it. It did play, and then the audience like laughed and cheered throughout the entire movie. And we had a standing ovation at the end. So it was a wonderful experience for our first film. The fact that the audience loved it, and the projector guy said it was the best film that we ever had. Played in there for as far as independent films. But that was back in the day where independent films were not really commonplace. So we're kind of lucky on that one. Hey, you should talk about the pool scene.
Oh. Now, my wife at the time, Heather, she was adding to the film also. So I guess there could be some problems there because she had ideas. Mike wasn't always on board.
Anywhere, anyhow, I'm down for anything. A couple of humps, give
But it was just easier to film it than argue all day, a lot of times. So if you ever watched that movie, the pool scene, Mike hated that scene, like detested it, but he put it in there for Heather.
That's not how you talk to the ladies. You don't call them stormtroopers and ET. You gotta be romantic.
One day, he ended up having to go into work when we were supposed to film like a whole scene where it was kind of like our Jay and Silent Bob characters because we loved them. And they were supposed to film a scene where they're trying to hit on ladies. And it happened to be in October, and it was 95 degrees that day. And since Mike and I Mike had to be at work, Jay and I had to bang out a script. I literally had maybe a half an hour for this scene to write this script. And we filmed it around a pool. And it got so crazy because we had some kids in there that were like throwing beach balls, and Jay played this character called Officer Pinky. And so he was in it. So I had to have the guy who played Raven fill in for camera work and stuff. And I can remember we had one boom mic, and it kept falling into the shot. One time, the guy was like holding it, and no, we didn't even have a boomstick. It was attached to the camera, so it was one of the little ones, and we were in the middle of a shot, and somehow it wasn't attached right, and it fell off the camera, and all of a sudden you just hear clang, 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 and it almost rolled into the pool. And then when Jay was going over the footage, you hear so the other thing that we ran into upon editing is we picked out all this really cool music. Like I remember for the pool scene, we used Magic Stick by 50 Cent. We used some Lifehouse. We used, popular songs. We got in trouble when he entered it into film festivals. The Ann Arbor Film Festival, that was pretty much the only one at the time. And we only got an honorable mention, and we got like a warning for using actual music without permission. Copyright stuff, and we had no idea. We thought that, because we go see the movies and they have all this great music and stuff like that, so we were just like, we can do that, whatever. We didn't realize that for like a small little clippet of a song, like a lot of times you got to pay 20 grand. So yeah, that was a learning experience too. Yep. So that was good times.
No, come on, not to fucking... Damn, I don't have time for this bullshit. Fuck. Piece of fucking shit. Here we go. No, motherfucker. Come on, mother. I don't got time for this fucking bullshit today. Damn it.
So, in California, they shoot movies on set, and it's usually like a 5-day, 40-hour-a-week job, and it goes on for a month, sometimes 2 months, 3 months, and then it's done. So in Michigan, it's a little different, especially in the early 2000s. Can you talk a little bit about how you making movies is different from the professional standard?
The professional standard had money. We did not. We couldn't pay for any of our actors. They could. And then a lot of our schedules, we had to work around our work schedules, which Hollywood didn't have that. So and then other people had work schedules. Hard to get everyone's schedules together to film a lot of these scenes. And a lot of times you had to rewrite scenes because people can't show up because of their schedules. So that makes things a little bit more difficult. So I mean, and then you have people on the set telling you that this would never happen in Hollywood when you know damn well that it would. So, I mean, there's things that could happen in Hollywood that people don't think. Problems happen on sets, even in Hollywood, all the time. So it's not, usually never perfect, but they expect it to be perfect, which I find kind of hilarious. So,
And then you start to see like some people. This happens some in the roommates too, where they already thought they were some big star, so they were like, if everything didn't go perfectly fine, they would quit. So then you'd have to redo scenes.
but yeah, it's just a shoestring budget with schedules and broke people trying to make a film that will hopefully look like $1 million.
Being on the set was completely different, and we had some very unique sets. We filmed in a storage shed for a couple scenes. We had an outside playground. We filmed a scene that was an imagination scene out in Wixom called Proud Lake. We filmed in a local pharmacy, not a Walgreens or anything like that. It was a little mom and pop shop, and we used that as a like store that the character kind of worked at and stuff like that.
Excuse me, can I get some Coke, please?
Yeah.
Excuse me, sir, do you work here?
Yeah, I'll be with you. This is my pathetic career. That's what this stupid store
And
calls my job.
so Mike and Jason would bounce different ideas off of each other as far as the setup. The lights and stuff, we literally used lights from Home Depot. And we bought, not professional gels, but we bought like, I don't even know what it would have been called, like colored plastic, again, that we got. And we had a couple times that they burned. Like, all of a sudden they would be smoking and stuff like that, and we would have to like rip them off, and some of them would be burnt to the edges and stuff because we really didn't know what we were doing as far as that. None of us had gone to any kind of film school at all, and it was really kind of just fly by the seat of your pants. One time we did have some like helpers, some of the extras or some of the main people that weren't in the scene wanted to help out and do things. And so we had a guy hanging from a tree upside down to film a scene that we wanted a certain angle for. And in the middle of it, he fell out of the tree. And so there was this giant crash. We had people that would like drive by in a scene because we filmed some stuff in a parking lot that would just circle around because they wanted to see what was going on because people really didn't know. And we finally had to ask them to leave because they just wouldn't stop and they had loud music. It was terrible. Anyways, I can remember the lead characters for the very first film that we did hated each other.
Who are they?
Oh, that's Al and Jamie. They're my new roommates.
Your roommates?
The girl absolutely hated Jeremy. And, Jeremy I'm not sure what he's like now, but he was incredibly introverted and very, very shy. And they had to have this major kissing scene. And she hated him, and I think it was because he was so absolutely shy. And our first film was not as big as, as it went on. But yeah, it was really difficult. We really liked her. She was really good. But they just had no chemistry. So that was very, very difficult. And when it came time for the major kissing scene, I had to spend about 45 minutes walking them through it because he just was terrified. And she was just like, I don't want to do this. actress. And I'm like, she had fantastic chemistry with the major bad guy.
I'm white trash and I'm proud of it. And when I'm in the club, I love it. I'm from Detroit streets, right on the west side. And when you party in this motherfucker, you know it's the best side. You got a problem with me or my boys? We'll let our fists do the talking. Your family's gonna find you out lying in some chalk and they'll pull up blood. Me and my boys don't play around. We from D-Town. Anyone got a cigarette?
Fantastic. And that guy, it was pretty funny because he had a girlfriend and she was extremely jealous. And we tried to leave our set open. But one time, because he and the lead actress had, this major kissing scene, and he had to allow her on the set, and it caused major issues. So we decided, we're not doing that again. That was something else.
We're not really on the best of terms right now.
You want me to talk to him?
No, that's all right.
You sure?
Yeah.
We did have we had a sex scene where I had to go into a bedroom with one of the actors that it was supposed to be, and I still remember the actual thing that it really happened. So the setup was this guy and I were in Mike's room for real, and obviously we were having sex and the bed collapsed. Well, Mike wasn't home, and so he rigged the bed so that Mike wouldn't know. So, like a couple days later, Mike's sleeping in his bed and the whole thing collapsed, and he thought he did it. And I didn't tell him for like months and months and months because he was just so mad that this bed broke. He was like, I spent all this money on this bed and it freaking broke. And it was because me and Howard, he put that whole thing in his film.
I'm fine.
Can I get you anything?
No, I'm all right.
You sure?
Yeah.
I remember for that scene, it started off where we were in this bedroom with the door closed, and we were banging on the walls and stuff, making all kinds of noise and everything. And then it had to transfer to the bed break scene where Mike, first we broke the bed, and it shows the character playing Howard putting it back together. And then it shows Jeremy in there like the next day, and we had somebody over to the side that had to rig this bed so that it collapsed just like it really collapsed. And Mike was dying. Everybody on the set was dying because it was just, I can't believe you put this in the movie. This really happened too. Mike came home from work and the roommates and these other people were having this insane orgy in his living room. And so Mike put that in the film. And I remember it just got so loud when we were filming that it was like vibrating off the walls. And the neighbors came over. Well, first they started banging on the wall to keep it down. We had people banging on the ceiling. So as we were filming that orgy scene, and I'm trying to remember, when you see the film, oh my gosh, there was probably, 6 people in it, I think? And the neighbors came over knocking on the door because they thought we were filming a porn. So, because the actors that were in the scene, they were waiting to fill this scene because the promise is, the main character comes in and sees all this going on.
Yeah.
Carter?
Did anybody see that large amount of rent money is $20 around here anywhere?
And he hasn't been getting any play from the character of Shar. Not at all. And he was trying, and, you know, actually he was basically trying in his head. So the main character comes home and, you know, wigs out when he sees this. It just goes ballistic. But these actors were waiting for this scene. They had been practicing and they were so excited about it. And it is a wild scene, just wild. And then, you know, he comes home and he throws everything. So on top of them thinking we were making a porn, that the fighting, they thought it was real. They thought some domestic violence or something was going on. So
Wait, I don't want to ruin my Detroit Tigers t-shirt. It might jinx the team. Let's go.
The roommates ends up rapping, and the turnout was actually really good. So it was full movie theater, and after the movie, they said they enjoyed it.
And I remember our premiere of the first film. He was terrified. He was throwing up the whole time. And I got us, the guys, free tuxedos from a tuxedo shop. And, you know, they just look so sharp. But, you know, I had to start off the speeches and everything because he was afraid he would ramble. Even though he did ramble a little bit, but it was probably the most exciting thing that we ever did. And we got to the theater, we got limos for us to roll out. We had a red carpet and everything. It was really cool. But the theater didn't tell him we needed our own equipment to play the film. So we had to find somebody to run around and get the correct equipment so that we could play the movie. And this was literally 15 minutes before the premiere started. It was wild. So yeah, like I said, we had no idea what we were doing.
Here, let me give you some ice.
Hurry up, I got a call.
How'd you hurt your back, June?
I slipped on a piece of shit.
Yeah, I wasn't even ready though.
Serious, man.
So now we're in the process of, okay, what are we going to do now? We're going to do the next one called Roommates Holiday Special, which is based around Christmas time and stuff. So my wife Heather, again, there's creative differences. She quits. I'm married to her, so she made me quit. So they had to get another actor to fill in. But this dude was, you know, he's your typical Hollywood-looking dude, like 6'3", 6'4", 250, really muscular.
Look, you know that letter I got from the apartment the other day? Yeah. They're gonna raise my rent. Oh, yeah, man, that sucks. Yeah, it sucks. I mean, I'm basically raising 3 grown adults in this apartment. We got grocery bills we can't keep up with. I got a phone bill and electric bills that I can't keep up with. Rich, I don't know how I can keep up like this.
No, look, I told you, okay? I got it taken care of.
How?
Just don't worry about it.
But he's not a guy that women would reject or become like a pushover or anything like that. So even though they did a lot of scenes with him, it just didn't match up, which was good for me. So things calmed down with Heather and Mike. We came back and we were able to get the holiday special done.
Talk about the holiday special.
A ring? What kind of ring is this? A friendship ring, right?
It's a promise ring.
So one of the issues we had, this guy was just an assistant. Now nobody's getting paid for this because nobody had any money, just like the first one. We're just doing it to be part of it. So one disruption happened one day. He had helped on a couple days that we had filmed, and he had came back and he was like demanding payment. which was crazy because if none of the actors were getting paid, how do you expect to get paid when you're just helping around? You weren't even doing the sound or anything. You're just a helper.
I remember the funniest thing that we ever ran into was in Frankenmuth. We were filming our holiday one.
Are you okay, Tyler?
Fine, just fine. Let's get some fudge. Sounds great.
Well, the Roommates Holiday Special, sadly, I was really excited for it because I was really into Star Wars Holiday Special. I remember even writing Roommates Holiday Special on a piece of paper because I thought that was so cool. The problem is that I had to write a bunch of scripts for it. And the reason why I was making that film, because we had problems making Losers Anonymous, and I figured, well, the only way I can get Losers Anonymous made if I made a really easy short film and just finish it, and then hopefully be able to apply the beginning and finishing technique with the full-length feature with this one, and it worked. But I wrote a bunch of scripts. Some of them were good, but they were just too complicated to make. We wanted to make something easy so that we can finish it and move on to Losers Anonymous. So the script that I wrote, it was easy, but like we filmed it like the day after I wrote it, and I wasn't even sure if I even liked the script or not. And really, it was kind of pointless to me. The only thing that was exciting about that script, that we were excited for, was the fact that you get to meet Tyler's family in it.
Dad, is it true that I'm adopted? You can tell me. I'm a grown man.
But what was funny about it is that when we auditioned for it, the original family that we got, they all looked vastly different from one another. Like they didn't even look like they looked a bunch of different people in this family. But the guy that was playing the father at the time, his name was Russ. He invited us to his place one time, and he had like a big bonfire. That was really cool, because he was just burning furniture at his house. And I remember the fire was so great that it was affecting my eyes. But it was actually a really good time. But then, shortly after that, I don't remember why he quit, or why we didn't have him in it. But we ended up recasting. But we recast it with a guy at work. He was one of the computer guys. And it was great to have him in it. That was great. His name was John Kulikowski, and his wife showed up, and his son. His son was never on the script, but we called him his illegitimate son, Ernie. So that kind of just helped things out on there.
Goodbye, illegitimate son.
Yeah. But Jason had a fantastic, creative view. He's an artist, and he just would find really cool angles and stuff like that, and just the ideas of how to make them work were just wild. Like I said, guerrilla crew, and sometimes we would just be running to a place because even though I explained the fact that we needed permission from these places and we needed contracts and stuff like that, he just was like, well, no, I think if we just hurry up and do it, it'll be okay. So we definitely ran into some incidents like that. We were in places that we really had no business being.
We went to Frankenmuth, and Frankenmuth didn't like what we were shooting.
And I had explained to Mike, you have to go to the city hall and you have to get permission. You have to have people sign off. This is our second film, and we learned a lot of things. Well, he didn't do it, even though he said he did, and he just talked to somebody on the phone. Well, I mean, that could have been a front desk person. It could have been anything, because I didn't actually handle it this time. So we got there, and it was a Saturday. The people in the city place were not there. So we just kind of, and I said, well, Mike, where's the contract? Oh, I don't have it. I don't have one. I was like, oh my God. So we were just filming in public places, and it was supposed to be a winter thing. Obviously, there wasn't snow on the ground, and it was the middle, not even the middle. It was in between September and October, and we happened to have like one of those Indian summers. So the people in the background were walking around in shorts and tank tops, and our characters were in like winter clothes, acting like they're freezing. It was ridiculous. They had pumpkin stuff in the background. It was so funny. But so we went into Bronner's, the Christmas store, and he had a scene that he really wanted the main character, female, to sit on her ex-boyfriend's lap in the film, and he was kind of dressed in a pseudo Santa Claus outfit. It was kind of a sexual scene. We didn't have permission, and the manager comes out, starts screaming at us, "What are you doing? You can't film in here, blah, blah, blah." It got so bad, I never even knew they had a security team there, that we got kicked out of Bronner's, and they wanted the tapes. And Mike was panicking because we had basically half a day of footage on there.
I gotta get some fresh air.
We had to leave Frankenmuth in case they called the police, because that's what they were threatening. And so we left Frankenmuth, and we had to like wing where we were gonna film next. But I told him, "Mikey, this is why you need permission for things, because obviously the police could have gotten called and we could have gotten arrested."
So they held the footage hostage, and Heather was in there. Oh, actually, they held Heather hostage until I got the footage. So I brought them the footage, and because we were filming a scene that didn't make it into the film, Johnny was dressed up as Santa Claus, going ho ho ho, Santa sees a ho 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 type of deal. And then these people, while we're filming it, were like popping up everywhere looking at us and we're filming it. I mean, it's just Santa going ho ho ho, but I guess they didn't like that too much, so we ended up in the office. I show her the footage, the woman that was holding Heather hostage in there, and when I showed it to her, she just started crying like this is the worst thing ever. And Heather and I are just looking at each other like, what the fuck? It's nothing bad, you know? And then when we walked out of there, we got the footage, thankfully. Well, oh, no, I think they kept it. We walked out of there, but that was on a little thing. Luckily, it was on a different tape.
Well, we had one of the guys on our film crew that was pretty shady, and he was like, "Okay, switch the tapes out with blank tapes," because they were threatening to take the equipment. They were threatening to take like everything. And so that's what he did. He switched out the actual tapes that they wanted of the footage inside Bronner's with blank tapes, and we booked it out of there. We ran, I mean, all the way down the street carrying our equipment. We had our actors with us. Everybody was running.
And they didn't get the rest of the footage, so we had the footage that we needed out of there. But when we walked out, everyone just gave us these cold stares, like we're the worst people on the face of this earth. But I told Heather we'll be laughing about this later, which we did. But then, like, we shot at Heather's house, Heather's apartment that she was staying at, and her roommate was a real bitch over there. Apparently, she didn't like some of the stuff that happened when we were filming there. And then she got mad. She went on the phone with me and started yelling at me about it. I don't remember what it was about, but we never went back there, and Heather ended up leaving there. Her roommate was a total bitch. But it was a short script. It didn't really last that long. And after that, we shot Losers Anonymous, and that's a whole nother beast right there.
He just thought he could just do it because we had done that with the first film.
So what did I learn is that when you have a person in a film, the best thing to do is get all their scenes done in the first like couple days of filming. So if they quit, you already got their footage and it doesn't mess up everything else where you have to do a lot of reshoots. So that's what I would say I learned from the holiday special experience.
I hated the room. My goal was to make something bad Star Wars Holiday Special, so that's my bad on that one.
Come on, dude, you have to put me in your film. You know why? Because I'll date like the hottest chick in here, the biggest titties, and I'll bang her.
On your end, it's gonna ask for your permission on your side to record your stuff. That's what I failed to do last time.
All right.
Cool.
How is my sound? Is it okay? Because I'm just doing the little dime store headphones here.
You sound great. Yeah. Appreciate you doing this interview.
No, of course, man.
How have you been? What you been up to?
Same old shit. Last time we talked was had I already gone to England again, or when did
Well,
we do your movie?
we shot that in like late 2021,
Okay.
and you were sick. I think you were in between traveling or something like that. You were getting over an illness of some sorts.
Yeah, it's called Old Manisms.
But I think you had talked about England. What were you doing out there?
Same thing I did in Italy and England before I was performing with the Fame cast. We were doing a charity for a children's foundation out there called the Clare House. And basically, they take it's kind of our Make a Wish,
Mhm.
but only there in England. And instead of doing like the mega get the stars to come out, what have you, basically, that charity was more of a the unfortunate's going to happen with this child. And so they try to make memories for the child and the family. Well, the family, not the child, sorry. Um, to where they, instead of the child passing away at home, um, they take them to a facility and then the family can come out and just try to make the best of the time they have left. So that's what
Wow,
we were doing.
that's beautiful. That's great.
Yeah.
That's very commendable, man. That's awesome. Um, well, thank you again for doing this. I kind of want to just tell you, uh, I'm really doing this, because Mike's my best friend. He's my uncle, and
He's the great one. I know.
yeah,
He's the great one. Yeah.
he's freaking awesome. And so I'm just trying to wrestle people up and try to explore, some of the adventures that you guys had together.
So throw his ass under the bus, really? Talk the real shit is what I'm saying. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
I met that fucker in prison. We were I was doing a dime for ripping tags off a mattress. No. I first met Mike early 2000s. It was after the world ended, 9/11, and my daughter was wee little. Um, I was going through a divorce, and I had gotten back into creativity, into acting and what have you after like a 10-year hiatus. I wasn't doing anything, and that's probably why the first marriage ended because I wasn't being me. And I met a guy at a TV show audition. We were both contestants in this silly TV show slash reality thing, whereas how do you want to be a TV star, some shit like that. And I'm talking about Eric. I can never pronounce his last name right, Bouget or something, but I used to call him Short Bus. Anyway, Eric was part of the Roommates production already, and he's like, dude, we're doing this show, blah blah blah. He's looking for people, and you should show up. And I guess they were having a read through or something like that. And honestly, I don't even know if I auditioned. I think I just showed up and was being a smartass. And Michael was like, "You want to play Manning?" And okay, sure, why not? Twist my arm. Um, and that's how I met him. He was just a very soft-spoken, um, fly by the whatever happens type of dude. You know, I think the best way to describe Mike would be quiet creativity, if you will. And which I liked because I walked all over his ass. I did. Well, maybe I did. I don't know. I walked in to do an under five, and before I knew it, I was script doctoring. I was holding a camera. Um, I was the group's transportation at some point too. And I honestly think I even found a few sets. But what I really liked about Mike was that he reminded me of my favorite director. When I was in South Florida, I had a gentleman by the name of Jerry Campbell who had a unique talent of listening to everything you wanted to do, everything you wanted to say, but quietly getting you to do what he wanted. And where I wouldn't say go so far as to say Mike had that talent, but he was very quiet and very passive in that respect. So, I'm sure I overstepped my bounds a lot on that, but I really liked the fact that he was just open. He wanted to do a project, and I think it's safe to say that Mike is not very vocal in real life. So, through his creativity, he tried to get his point across, which I kind of like.
Oh, but hey, how you doing? My name's Manny the Man. What's yours?
Hi, Manny the man. I'm Shar. Excuse me.
Nice to meet you.
I guess I always got the gentle giant aspect of him.
Well, yeah, you're right. I mean, he is a gentle giant in a lot of ways. Like, like there was one time I went over his place and he was talking about, yeah, I found this homeless guy in the woods and I let him sleep here for the night. And then when I woke up, he was gone.
Okay.
Like he was like, the guy was saying he was going to kill himself. And I was like, no, I'll give you a place to, don't do that. And, so like he'll do things, irrationally in some regards, but he's a kind man,
He's kind of one of those people that definition of pay it forward, I guess would be the best way to say it.
So you were Manny the Man, and you had a few scenes in The Roommates. Can you talk about the holiday special at all?
Yeah, that was, I think, the definition of guerrilla shooting. My boy Mike says, "Hey, we're gonna do a holiday episode, and love for you to reprise your role. We're gonna shoot at Bronner's in Frankenmuth." I'm like, "Sweet," and then he goes, "I want you to don a Santa suit." I'm like, "Okay, are you calling me fat?" And he goes, "No, no, no, blah blah." And it was kind of funny because this is a great example of how the script changes on set depending on what's available, what's going on, who showed up, who didn't show up. And so I think Manny's character at that time, and it was so long ago, and honestly, I've never seen any of the episodes.
Sure.
I haven't even seen your movie, sir. I played Aiden, and I haven't seen it yet, but that's okay. Must be a Fields tradition where you hire Dennis Haddock and don't let him see the footage. But we showed up at Bronner's, and for whatever reason, I was kind of against putting the Santa suit on and playing the role, the lines that were scripted, because for whatever reason, Manny had a girlfriend he was stalking. I think it's hazy, but what happened was, I think the actress Heather, her boyfriend at the time wound up playing the Santa character, and they re-scripted it again. Santa was supposed to be stalking some ex-girlfriend or something. So this guy puts on the Santa outfit, and the idea was Santa's like a cracked out meth head, and he's just saying the most rudest, nastiest things to people. And we're at Bronner's doing this, right? The whole life is Christmas. And Mike didn't ask any permission or what have you. So we pick one of their display areas with a big Santa, throne, if you will. And this actor, and I apologize, I cannot remember the man's name, is just saying, like Andrew Dice Clay without the wit, and we shoot like maybe 20, 30 minutes in Bronner's, and all of a sudden a manager comes out of nowhere of the store, and he's like, what are you guys doing? And Mike's like, well, we're shooting blah 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 blah. And he goes, come with me. And I had the camera, and Mike and the manager walk away, and I'm like, I smell something. Something's not right. So I take the tape out of the camera and I put a blank one in, And maybe 5 minutes later, Mike goes, I need the tape. I'm like, sure, here you go. And the manager and him go back or whatever. Actually, probably took the whole camera and comes back, and there was nothing on the tape. He goes, there's nothing on this tape. And I can tell Mike is livid. He's pissed. And he's scared because they're like, we're going to get arrested here at Bronner's, you know? And so we were like, oh, shit. I'm like, dude, I'm sorry. I thought I hit record, you know? So we walk out, and Mike, I swear, he is just ready to fucking blow. Sorry, I can say fucking, right?
Yeah, you can say fucking.
He's just ready to blow. He goes, we did 30 minutes and you don't have. I said, I got the real tape right here. I just figured they would confiscate. So he goes, oh. He's like, thank God. You know, and then we walked around Frankenmuth doing some more exterior shots. And we got like 4 old people that were just there that day to be in it. And I haven't seen any of the productions, but I remember shooting it, and this little decrepit old lady going, you know, like they saw something they didn't want to see. So that's all I remember of the holiday episode.
That is awesome to get your perspective, because I've gotten Mike's and I've gotten Heather's about it, and yours just really like puts me right into the spot to where like I feel like I'm there now. So thank you.
You're welcome.
So Kindness for Weakness, it's like 10 years later, Mike finally gets back into filmmaking, and I've only heard your name because when I would come over his place, Mike would say, yeah, every on this day in December, I play Dennis Haddock music and I clean the apartment on this day every year. And I'm like, Dennis Haddock music, what the hell is that?
And it's probably the only time he cleans the apartment too.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
You had on the the Guy Fieri type outfit for your role in Kindness for Weakness, was that like that red flaming shirt.
Oh yeah, the Harley Davidson shirt. Yeah. He told me to reprise or asked me to reprise the role for the episode that I first met you in, and I had gotten fatter and not much fit, so I went to the thrift store and just got the most loudest, ugliest fucking shirt that I could find. I'm like, that's a Manny right there, you know. So,
sure.
And oh, you had blonde hair then, didn't you?
Yeah, I had a diet just for the role.
Okay,
that's kind of what we wanted to do for the character.
That's just that's commitment there, lad. That is.
Sure.
Yeah.
I would be walking on the streets and I'd have like kids making fun of me, calling me like Slim Shady or whatever.
Well, the real Slim Shady, please stand up. Yeah.
But it was worth it. It's fun to get that into a role, commit to something like that and
absolutely
yourself,
Absolutely. The one thing that, believe it or not, I got into acting, performing and singing because of my self-esteem issues. Believe it or not, I'm very shy when it comes to meeting people for the first time. Unless I'm behind a microphone or, doing a role, I don't know how to talk to people. I mean, at least I didn't. It's, the character I play now in my performing, DJ Rev, that's a whole nother person. That's not Dennis. Rev is, can say anything and not get his ass beat because they're all, oh, that's just Rev, but Dennis, I grew up, when I was born, I had a hearing loss. And in my decade, in the 70s, they didn't understand it was a hearing loss. They thought he was just special, and they sent me to a school to, and they had the best intentions, but they were basically teaching us how to pretend to be normal, and you're basically telling a kid, you're not as good as the person you're standing next to. So pretend, and eventually as I got older, my ears opened up. Nowadays they stick a tube in the kid's ear and they can hear fine. but I heard like I was underwater. So all of that put a very inferiority complex brewing in my head. Well, once my ears opened up, all of a sudden, I started singing, and I had I can't remember what the names are of the girls' parts. Not first tenor for a guy, but higher than that. Alto, soprano, one of those. I was singing female parts, my like Frankie Lyman range, and going to parochial school at the time. And in the 70s, some kid next to me goes, "You sound like a fag." I know that's not politically correct to say today, but it sounds better than saying you sound like a homosexual.
Well, that's what he really said. That's what he really called you.
Right. So again, adding to that inferiority complex, and other things that happened in my life. So I loved hiding behind a role, singing. My first kiss was in an audition.
Wow.
Yeah, it was that, believe it or not, okay, I'm not the player I pretend to be. My first kiss was in high school. And I was a freshman auditioning for the school play. And the scene they used to cold read, the characters kissed. And I was reading with a senior female. And we did the lines. And then she leans in and just plants one on me. I'm like, oh, I think I'm going to be an actor. And so, like you said, the things you do for a role or what have you, I became totally immersed in it. And it's been a godsend for me because, again, like Michael's quiet creativity, it allows you to express yourself in a way that you might not have the guts to do as Dennis, but as DJ Rev, I can do, so.
You're right. Thank you for sharing that with me, honestly. I love.
No worries. I forgot the original question, but I rambled on. So
no, it's funny that you mentioned all that. Did you know that Mike also grew up? He initially had hearing problems himself. He had to have surgery for it, and so he probably faced a similar thing. I don't think he went to a school for it, but he definitely had problems in class up to a point with the inability to hear what they were saying.
Yeah, no, I didn't. Again, I've always felt a little attached to Mike in the sense, he always calls me the great one. And I always go, no, you're the great one. And we go back and forth like, school kids. But there's always been a little bit of a connection because, broken people feel broken people in that respect, and I'm not broken in like tragedy as far as, oh my God, or the first 3 weeks of American Idol or some shit like that, but there's always a kind of a quiet understanding where you recognize someone's been through something they've overcome. And I've always felt that with Michael.
Love that.
So I'll say, I've had 5 minutes of fame. I've sang in front of 40,000 people, and now I sing in front of 100. What I do now is get everyday people to experience their creativity and have 5 minutes of fun, feel what it feels like to be a rock star, or just make a complete ass out of themselves. And I get paid for it, so that's awesome. The one thing I would say to Michael, clean your apartment more than once a year and stop listening to my music. No. I think I would just have to say, Michael, keep being you. If you saw what we saw, I think you'd like yourself a lot better.
Love that.
Squirt a tear now. Squirt a tear.
Do you have any Dennis Haddock Christmas music? And have you ever thought of making a Dennis Haddock Christmas special?
Hi, I'm Troy McClure, and the next half hour we're going to explore. No, I do have. I don't know if I gave him the live CD or if I gave him the one I used the stereo tracks or karaoke tracks for. I recorded 2 Christmas albums, and one was NBL for Christmas, Nothing But Love, and the other one was Peace, Love, and Joy, which I actually had live musicians on. One of them was with my first wife. She had a grandfather that played live on the radio back in the day. Radio station WHO, I think out of either Illinois or Indiana. I apologize for not knowing the right one, but he was the guitarist of Dusty Owens and the Rodeo Boys.
Oh, all right.
And we bonded immediately because we both had the same stories decades apart, as far as being a performer. And so we were just older and younger versions of each other. So I brought him and some other local musicians into the studio, and we recorded like 6 tracks, just the normal Christmas music, but kind of a raw, unpolished vibe to it. So to answer his question, yes, I do, and no, I've never thought about doing a Christmas special. But I do know a young director that has promised to shoot it in 4K if I decide to. We'll get the 1970s cheesy props and shit like that, and I'll wear the big velour with the bow tie thing. And no, I love Christmas music, just like I love Irish music, being Irish, Scottish, and English. And I love all forms of music, but with the Christmas and and Irish music, I love it certain times of the year, and then I'm done with it.
Yeah,
So,
sure. Can I ask you, is there any chance I could get my hands on one song of yours to put in this doc?
I think I can email you some MP3s. It's nothing really woohooey, really. I am so overjoyed that Michael loves that music. I think he's the only one, you know. Even I can't listen to it anymore because all I hear are the flaws. But
Well,
you know, I'll definitely try to send you something, as long as you have to send me the bloopers from your movie, because I know somewhere there's audio of me peeing. You're like, dude, you left your mic on. I'm like, oh shit, really?
That's right. I know what you're talking about.
So yeah, I'll definitely try to send you some.
I appreciate that, man. Let me see.
Although I don't own the copyrights to the music, so
Gotcha.
get you in trouble if this becomes, like multi-award winning.
Well, I mean, like, even if it's like a 10-second snippet, I'll try to make it work.
Sure.
Well, I think we pretty much, perused most of the questions. I really appreciate you being so sincere and genuine and personal about this. It really means a lot that you would do this. There's not much funding for it here, and it's not talked about much. We're not California, we're not Atlanta, we're not those places in Canada that are getting all these major projects. So the cool thing is that I'm recognizing that what you and Mike did, and what you do, in the early 2000s, to make a film in Michigan was super rare. And thanks for being a part of him making that project come to life. It means a lot.
Being creative at any level is very important, and it sucks that we're in a day and age where the funding for music and acting and drama, all the creative arts, is not in the schools anymore, and I think that's the problem. That's why we have TikTok now, because these kids doing just the dumbest things. The technology is there to where anyone with an iPhone right now can be the next Scorsese, or, try to be. And even though that's kind of been like the worst possible version of creativity, it's still creativity. And, all of that is important. Um, Michael production came to me when I needed something. You know, I was involved in two other productions at the time, but that one allowed me to be a little bit more part of the process. You know, I was doing a movie called Displaced at the time as well. And the director, who's North Korean, and we can't talk about him, is back in North Korea right now. DK. Um, that was a great movie. I loved being in it. Just like I love being in yours. Again, I haven't fucking seen it, but it allowed me to heal and start becoming what I am now. You know, which is someone still blue collar, paycheck to paycheck, but you know, if you're in Oakland County, Michigan, you know who DJ Rev is. And if people like Michael, people like Eric, people like DK weren't around at that point when I was going through a hard time, you probably wouldn't even know me now. I probably wouldn't be here, you know. So, Michael, I love you. I know you're crying right now. Your tears are just streaming down like a little girl. But I got to tell you, you are the great one. Keep being you, baby. I love you. Dude, I'm your Huckleberry, whatever you want.
All right. God bless you, Dennis. Thank you so much.
God bless you too, but I'm not doing nudity. Just saying. Nobody wants to see that shit.
All right. I respect that. Thanks, man.
Shit we did with her. Later, baby. I'm coming over. I did this shit. We'll see you next year. Oh, what a night. I gotta find something to drink. Wonder how long this milk has been in here. Ugh, Jesus Christ, I could have been in there for months. Well, I guess it comes down to either some ketchup or some soy sauce. Guess I'll have to try the ketchup first. Ugh. Ugh. God, that is horrible. Yeah, soy sauce has got to be better than this. Yeah. Jesus Christ, that is even worse.